everybody. My name is Temi Diaz. I am a writer from Panama City. I am 25 years old and I'm going to be reading to you chapters 8 and chapter 9. Perhaps in the future, I could be reading to you, all of you guys, one of my books. But let's start. Okay. Chapter 8. The Day of Petition. Selfish, vain, and cruel. Selfish, vain, and cruel. The words echoed in the king's head as he pulled on his silk nightcap. It couldn't be true, could it? It took Fred a long time to fall asleep, and when he woke in the morning he felt, if anything, worse. He decided he wanted to do something kind, and the first thing that occurred to him was to reward Beamish's son, who defended him against that nasty little girl. So he took a small medallion that usually hung around the neck of his favorite hunting dog, asked a maid to thread ribbon through it, and summoned the Beamishes to the palace. Bert, whom his mother had pulled out of class and hurriedly dressed in a blue velvet suit, was struck speechless in the presence of the king, which Fred enjoyed, and he spent several minutes speaking kindly to the boy, while Major and Mrs. Beamish nearly burst with pride in their son. Finally, Bert returned to school with his little gold medal around his neck, and was made much of in the playground that afternoon by Roderick Roach, who was usually his biggest bully. Daisy said nothing at all, and when Bert caught her eye, he felt hot and uncomfortable, and shoved the medal out of the sight beneath his skirt. The king, meanwhile, still wasn't entirely happy. An uneasy feeling stayed with him like indigestion, and again he found it hard to sleep that night. When he woke the next day, he remembered that it was the Day of Petition. The Day of Petition was a special day held once a year, when the subjects of cornucopia were permitted an audience with the king. Naturally, these people were carefully screened by Fred's advisors before they were allowed to see him. Fred never dealt with big problems. He saw people whose troubles could be solved with a few gold coins and a few kind words. A farmer with a broken plug, for instance, or an old lady whose cat had died. Fred had been looking forward to the Day of Petition. It was a chance to dress up in his fanciest clothes, and he found it so touching to see how much he meant to the ordinary people of Cornucopia. Fred's dressers were waiting for him after breakfast, with a new outfit he requested just the previous month. White satin pantaloons and matching doublet, with gold and pearl buttons, a cloak edged with ermine and lined in scarlet, and white satin shoes with gold and pearl buckles. His valet was waiting with the golden tongs, ready to curl his mustache, and a page boy stood ready with a number of jeweled rings on a velvet cushion, waiting for Fred to make his selection. "Take all that away. I don't want it," said King Fred crossly, waving at the outfits the dressers were holding up for his approval. The dresser froze. They weren't sure they'd heard correctly. King Fred had taken an immense interest in the progress of the costume and had requested the addition of the scarlet lining and fancy buckles himself. "I said, take it away," he snapped, when nobody moved. "Fetch me something plain. Fetch me that suit I wore to my father's funeral." Is your majesty quite well?" inquired his valet, as the astonished dressers bowed and hurried away with the white suit, and returned in double quick time with a black one. "Of course I'm well," snapped Fred, "but I am a man, not a frivoling popinjay." He shrugged on the black suit, which was the plainest he owned. Though still rather splendid, having silver edgings to the cuffs and collars, and onyx and diamond buttons. Then, to the astonishment of the valet, he permitted the man to curl only the very ends of his mustaches, before dismissing both him and the page boy bearing the cushion full of rings. "There," thought Fred, examining himself in the mirror. "How can I be called vain? Black isn't definitely one of my best colors." So unusually speedy had Fred been in getting dressed that Lord Spittleworth, who was making one of Fred's servants dig earwax out of his ears, and Lord Flapoon, who was guzzling a plate of Duke's delights, which he ordered from the kitchens, were caught by surprise and came running out of their bedrooms, pulling on their waistcoats and hopping as they put on their boots. "Hurry up, you lazy chaps," called King Fred, as the two lords chased him down the corridor. "There are people waiting for my help." And would a selfish king hurry to meet simple people who wanted favors from him? Thought Fred. No, he wouldn't. Fred's advisors were shocked to see him on time, and plainly dressed for Fred. Indeed, Herringbone, the chief adviser, wore an approving smile as he bowed. "Your Majesty is early," he said. "The people will be delighted. They've been queening since dawn." "Show them in, Herringbone," said the king, settling himself on his throne and gesturing to Spittleworth and Flapoon to take the seats on either side of him. The doors were opened, and one by one the petitioners entered. Fred's subjects often became tongue-tied when they found themselves face to face with a real-life king, whose picture hung in their town halls. Some began to giggle or forgot what they come from, and once or twice people fainted. Fred was particularly gracious today, and in each petition ended with the king handing out a couple of gold coins, or blessing a baby, or allowing an old woman to kiss his hand. Today, though, while he smiled and handed out gold coins and promises, the words of Daisy Dovetail kept echoing in his head: selfish, vain, and cruel. He wanted to do something special to prove what a wonderful man he was, to show that he was ready to sacrifice himself for others. Every king of Cornucopia had handed out gold coins and trifling favors on the day of petition. Fred wanted to do something so splendid that it will ring down the ages, and you didn't get into the history books by replacing a fruit farmer's favorite hat. The two lords on either side of Fred were becoming bored. They'd much rather have been left to loll in their bedrooms until lunchtime than sit here listening to peasants talking about their petty troubles. After several hours, the last petitioner passed gratefully out of the throne room, and Flapoon, whose stomach had been rumbling for nearly an hour, heaved himself out of his chair with a sigh of relief. "Lunchtime," boomed Flapoon. But just as the guards were attempting to close the doors, a kerfuffle was heard, and the doors flew open once more. Very interesting. Chapter 9 now. The Shepherd's Story. "Your Majesty," said Herringbone, hurrying towards King Fred, who just risen from the throne. "There is a shepherd from the marshlands here to petition you, sir." "He's a little late. I could send him away, if your Majesty wants his lunch." "A marshlander," said Spittleworth, waving his scented handkerchief beneath his nose. "Imagine, sir, that impertinence being late for the king," said Flapoon. "No," said Fred, after a brief hesitation. "No. If the poor fellow has travelled this far, we shall see him. Send him in, Herringbone." The chief adviser was delighted at his further evidence of a new, kind, and considerate king, and hurried off to the double doors to tell the guards to let the shepherd inside. The king settled himself back on his throne, and Spittleworth and Flapoon sat back down on their chairs, their expressions sour. The old man, who now tottered up the long red carpet towards the throne, was very weather-beaten and rather dirty, with a straggly beard and rag-patched clothes. He snatched off his cap as he approached the king, looking truly frightened, and when he reached the place where people usually bowed or courtesied, he fell to his knees instead. "Your Majesty," he wheezed. "Your Majesty," Spittleworth imitated him softly, making the old shepherd sound like a chip. Flapoon's chin trembled with silent laughter. Your Majesty, continued the shepherd, I have traveled for 5 long days to see you. It has been a hard journey. I have ridden in hay racks when I could and walked when I couldn't, and my boots is all holes. Oh, get on it with it, too, muttered Spielberg, his long nose still buried in his handkerchief. But at all time I was traveling, but all the time I was traveling, I thought of old Patch, sir, and how you'll help me if I could but reach the palace. What is old Patch, good fellow? Asked the king, his eyes upon the shepherd's much-darned trousers. "'Tis my old dog, sir, or was, I should perhaps say," replied the shepherd with his eyes filling with tears. "Ah," said King Fred, fluming with the money purse at his belt. "Then, good shepherd, take these few gold coins and buy yourself a new." "No, sir, thank you, but it bain't a question of good gold," said the shepherd. "I can find myself a puppy easy enough, though I'll never match old Patch." The shepherd with his nose on his lips, Spiderward shuddered. "Well then, why have you come to me?" asked King Fred, as kindly as he knew how. "To tell you, sir, how Patch met his end." "Ah," said King Fred. His eyes wandered to the golden clock on the mantelpiece. "Well, we love to hear the story, but we're rather wanting our lunch." "Twice the Ickabog that ate him, sir," said the shepherd. There was an astonished silence, and then Spiderworth and Flapoon burst out laughing. The shepherd's eyes overflowed with tears, which fell sparkling onto the red carpet. "Ah, they've laughed at me from Jeroboam to Chooksville, sir, when I've told them when I've told them why I was coming to see you. Laughed them so silly, they have, and told me I was daft in my head. But I seen the monster with me own 2 eyes, and so did poor Patch, afore he was 8. King Fred felt a strong urge to laugh along with the two lords. He wanted his lunch as he wanted to get rid of the old shepherd, but at the same time, that horrid little voice was whispering, selfish, vain, and cruel, inside his head. "Why don't you tell me what happened?" King Fred said to the shepherd, and Spiderwood and Flapoon stopped laughing at once. "Well, sir," said the shepherd, wiping his nose on his sleeve again. "It was twilight and right foggy, and Patch and me was walking home around the edge of the marsh. Patch sees a marsh thistle." "Sees a what?" asked King Fred. "A marsh thistle, sir. Them's bold rat-like things what lives in the marsh. Not bad in pies, if you don't mind the tales." Flapoon looked queasy. "So Patch sees marsh thistles," the shepherd continued, "and he gives chase. I shouts for Pouch and shouts, sir, but he was too busy to come back. And then, sir, I hears a help. 'Patch,' I cry, 'Patch, why you get, lad?' But Patch don't come back, sir. And then I sees it to the fog," said the shepherd in a low voice. "Huge it is, with eyes like lanterns, and a mouth as wide as that there throne, and his wicked teeth shining at me. And I forgets old Patch, sir, and I runs all the way home. And next day I sets off, sire, to come and see you. The Ickabog ate me, dog, sir, and I wants it punished." The king looked down at the shepherd for a few seconds. Then very slowly he got to his feet. "Shepherd," said the king, "we shall travel north this very day to investigate the matter of the Ickabog once and for all. If any trace of the creature can be found, you may rest assured that it shall be tracked into its lair and punished for its impudence in taking your dog. Now, take these few gold coins and hire yourself a ride back home in a hay cart." "My lords," said the king, turning to the stone Spiderworth and Plafond, "pray change into your riding gear and follow me to the stables. There is a new hunt afloat." Well, thank you, everybody. As you can see, my native language is Spanish, so I'm not used to reading in English, but I hope you enjoyed it.